Hello my friends, it's Robert Miner with Dynamic Traders Group with a brief video update for our YouTube subscribers and Twitter followers. I haven't done one of these in 3 or 4 weeks, so we're going to catch up here on what I think is an important reversal we just had in the Nasdaq. I'll explain why that's the case, and I'll also talk a little bit about Nvidia. Usually I don't talk about individual stocks, but a couple weeks ago I put up some information on Nvidia and it's all coming to pass, so I want to review that, review the trade strategy and the probable direction over the next few weeks for both the Nasdaq and some of these high-flying tech stocks. Okay, let's get started, and let's get started with the Nasdaq. Well, this is the Nasdaq. It's the cash weekly data, and let's take a look at what's happened this past week and how it may fit into the higher time frame picture, and how you can take advantage potentially of the position in the market. Of course, this last week was a major down week. What's important about the last week is it closed below the closes of the past 4 weeks. So that's a pretty significant decline. And it's happening when the weekly momentum cycle was overbought and it created this bear reversal. So at the least, more than likely at least, a weekly high is complete. And that's a high that should last 2 to 3 weeks or so. And then the market would be sideways to down for 2 to 3 weeks or so. Now I do have an Elliott Wave count on here. It's a possibility, but we can use this to gauge some important waypoints, possibly at least. And the first important waypoint would be the close on the week ending May 24th. You can, by the way, see there's some trading going on because I'm recording this at about 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. So at this swing high close at 18,876, that'll be a critical juncture in that if the trend is still bullish, and this is just a minor correction that's going to be made over the next 2 to 3 weeks or so, the Nasdaq should not close below the May 24th close, make a weekly close below that level. If it does, that indicates that this is a much higher time frame top, something that's going to last more than just a few weeks. So that's an important thing to keep in mind in the weeks ahead. If the Nasdaq is just making a correction, more than likely that correction will be complete in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and ideally by that week ending August 9th. So a July high and then an August corrective low, followed by one more advance to a new high. I suspect if that's the setup, that's what's occurring, that new high will be made in October, and that will be a more significant high. But that's all speculation. Here's what we know. We know that the weekly momentum cycle made a bear reversal last week. We know that we had a significant decline with a weekly close below the weekly closes of the past 4 weeks. That's a 4-close bear reversal. And that more than likely we want to be oriented towards the market being sideways to down, probably at least into early August. In other words, for the next 2 to 3 weeks. That's not necessarily a reason to panic and get out of the market, because if it's just making a corrective decline, no big deal. It should remain above this May high and this May close. And if it happens to close below that level, then we reorient our thinking that this is a more important top. So more than likely what we're looking at in 2 or 3 weeks is another real buying opportunity on the long side for a probable new high in the weeks and months ahead. So that's what I'll be looking at. That's what I'll be following up on with our DT report subscribers to see if this is just a minor correction lasting a few weeks, or if it's a higher time frame correction, or even the beginnings of a bear trend. For right now, I'm going to be oriented towards the short side, but probably just for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So let me take a look at Nvidia. That's a market that makes a lot of news. Everybody's. Before we get started on Nvidia, I just wanted to bring this up to you I believe there's an extraordinary opportunity in Bitcoin coming up just in the next few days, maybe a week or so at the most, that you should be aware of. That information is reserved for our subscribers, but if you're interested in Bitcoin, I just recently did an update on our long-term report, and then we're monitoring that day by day to identify the specific opportunity that, again, I think we're a week at the most away from. So if you're interested in being alerted to that specific opportunity, is check out our DT reports. We cover it 3 times a week. Okay, let's check out the stock Nvidia. Let's take a look at the weekly first. So Nvidia, I did some analysis and I put it up on Twitter and I gave it to our DT report subscribers a few weeks ago. I'll do a little bit of follow-up on it, see how it's panning out. What we're looking at about 3 weeks ago is that there's a potential that this June high was a pretty important high, one that would at least last a few weeks, if not several months. So this is the weekly data, and if it is this what we call wave 5 high, more than likely Nvidia would have a correction bear trend over the next several months, more than just a few weeks, or probably several months, and then reach into somewhere within this wave 4 price range, and typically reach around the 50% retracement. That's right near the wave 4 extreme. Now that's if this is that higher time frame end of wave 5 waves up from the 2022 low. So this is the daily data. It's just the daily closes, and this is just the data through July 3rd. So when I posted this chart in the comments on July 3rd, I showed it as a probable wave 5 high. I had a question mark there, and then the video was in the early stages of a correction that might last a few weeks. But of course, it's trade strategies that count. So the trade strategy was, if Nvidia were to close below 122.67, that was the July 2nd close, that would be an indication that the weekly trend was probably bearish and that the bear trend was going to continue for a while. So that's the trade strategy. So let's add some data on here. I'll just move it to the right. We had 3 or 4 days sideways to up. We'll add some more data, and there we go. As of the last day on the chart, which was just this last Wednesday, Nvidia made the sell signal to indicate that this was a completed ABC correction, and that more than likely the trend would then continue sideways to down for several weeks. So that's fairly significant. That's a fairly significant signal itself. So let's add the last couple of days on. This is as of Friday. Again, it's about 3:30 Friday afternoon. It's still trading. So we're short. We're in a bearish position. Well, you don't have to be short, but you want to recognize that more than likely the trend will be sideways to down for a few weeks, and that it would have a fairly significant decline, potentially as low as around 75. So, you probably have quite a bit of time before this correction will be complete. However, you always have to have a stop on a position and on an outlook. So what's the stop that we have? Well, here's my recommendation, and I'll put that on. I'm going to make it thick, and I will make it color that green, that on any bearish outlook, a close above 127.40, that's the July 11th little swing low close, would void a probable continuation of the bear trend. So if I happen to be short, I'm not short this, but it would void the bearish outlook as well as any sort of short position or bearish position that you might have. That'd be a close above 127.40. So keep in mind, we're not forecasting the future. We're identifying the probable position in the market, the probable outcome from that position. And then we always have to have a specific exit signal on our outlook, on our position, that says it's probably not going to do what we thought it was going to do. And that's what it is for Nvidia right now. So we have the Nasdaq probably sideways to down for at least 2 to 3 weeks. And if that's the case, that coincides with the probable Nvidia also sideways to down for several weeks. So that you want to keep that in mind when you consider trade opportunities here over the next few weeks. Well, that's it for today, my friends. If you'd like to keep up to date 3 times a week on these markets and all the major financial markets, check us out at dynamictraders.com, and you can also get free updates at our Traders News. You can register there, no charge card, nothing like that needed. We just need your email address so we can let you know when we put an update up on our Traders News on the site. Okay, that's it. Take care. Robert Miner, over and out for now.